We're going to be adding some other people that are backstage in a moment. I don't know who to go to first. I'm going to go to you, Tom, as Liverpool got smacked up today. What are you saying?
It's okay, Tom.
Jürgen, mate, I love you, but it's time to go. I think this is what it's come to. I don't think the players are buying into it anymore. I really don't, because I looked at that game beforehand. I looked at it and I thought, he's put out our best 11. He put out our best 11 that we had at the time. You know, we had the midfield, we had the attack, Nunes on up front and Gakpo on the left. I thought, you know, he's actually got it spot on there. But the players just didn't turn up. The players just didn't follow instructions. And at the end of the day, if the players aren't buying into the manager's got to go. Because I can't replace 25 players, but I can replace a manager. And we're going into a situation which Jurgen Klopp has never dealt with before. We're going into a situation where we need a rebuild of a successful squad. And Jurgen Klopp has been successful when rebuilding awful squads. But once we get to the point where we need him to rebuild the squad that he's grew attachment to, grew affection to, went up to the top with, I don't think he can do it. I don't think he's got the bottle to do it. I think he's too arsed about being able to have drinks with these players in 5 years' time and protecting relationships than what's successful on the football pitch. So if that's the case, I love you, Jürgen, but you're not saying if you love someone, let them go. Let him go. Let him go. Let him do what he needs to do. Let him go manage Germany or whatever, because we need someone who comes in now and revitalises this team. I'm sick of the press conferences. I'm sick of the excuses. I'm sick of the tactics. I'm sick to death of the substitutions. What the fuck is Jordan Henderson going to do in the 60th minute at 3-0 down? That man can't change a game when we're 1-0 up, let alone 3-0 down. So I'm completely gone with him. And I'm sitting there now. We are, what are we in? February 4th? 11 points. That's all I need from this season now. I need 11 more points from the last couple of games we've got. Get me to 40. Make sure I'm safe from relegation and I can tap out of this season. I can go watch Newcastle. I can go watch Serie A. I can go watch Jose Mourinho and Roma. I can go watch Bayer Leverkusen and Xabi Alonso. But right now with Liverpool, 40 points and I'm tapped out. And get me. If I'm replacing Jurgen Klopp, which I'm pretty much thinking of doing now, Ruben Amorim from Sporting, Thomas Tuchel, or Xabi Alonso. Any three of them, get them through that door. And they've got my 100% backing. But I just think it's a sad end, really, to this Klopp era, because it's been the best we've had for 30 years. But it's an ending that I saw coming. And it's an ending that's went worse.
I completely agree with you. And, of course, rivals will say you're just saying that, Terry, because you want one of the best managers in the world to go. I want Klopp to stay on a fan level. As a Man United fan, Jurgen Klopp staying is good for my club. He is absolutely done out here. And you can just tell there's no commitment from these players because, again, this Wolves team are in a relegation fight. Now, they've improved under the new manager. There's no doubt they've improved and got better. But every match I've seen you playing recently, I'm just going to click for a moment here on your recent games and fixtures. I'm just going to talk recently. And again, it doesn't matter who you've got fit, who's out injured, who comes back in. You've been the same for a while now. I didn't even clock this before looking. Just in the Prem alone, right? It's 4 games without defeat. Let's look at your last 4 games. Today against Wolves, outworked. You're going up against, Chelsea and you, it was a mid-up. We get that. Brighton destroyed you. Brentford destroyed you. These teams, when you actually go through their starting lineups, the majority don't have more than 10%, maybe 20% players that are better than Liverpool's.
Oh, no.
You go back to the previous games. You scrape past Leicester with 2 own goals from Fook or whatever his name is, right? You beat Villa, but they had so many chances in that game. They had so many chances in the match. You deserve to beat Southampton, and you deserve to beat Tottenham. In your last 10 matches, you've had 2 games where you were actually decent and you deserve to win. Outside of that, it's been a couple of lucky wins and a couple of really lucky wins. And then 3 of the last 4 matches, you've been annihilated. Not beaten, annihilated, bruv. Absolutely crazy.
Post-World Cup, beyond the World Cup, before the World Cup, we weren't playing well, but we were grinding out results. I'll take that any day of the week. Past the World Cup, this Liverpool team has been relegation fodder. It has been I don't think you understand, Terry. I'm absolutely petrified of Sean Dyche and Bale, and not even Bale. I don't think I'm petrified of it.
You need to be. You need to be. If they perform next week in the Merseyside derby as they did today, you lose. You lose.
We're done. Onana, Decore, Gay, them three against Jordan Henderson, Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, James Milner, Fabinho, Bajcetic, Thiago. They're running us over. And then the corners terrify me. They absolutely. Joel Matt. You know what? I'm not even going to call. He doesn't deserve his name. Ice Spice and Bambian Spice are two centre backs. Fuck me, they're awful.
Yeah, Samuel's joining us, Liverpool fan now. What you saying, bro?
Same old, I guess. Same old. Oh my! Do you know what? Yeah, this team. I can only blame the manager so much. The players have given up. The players have given up. Literally, the players. These are players that will run through a brick wall for the manager a few years ago. Now they've just given up. Like, they can't even make simple passes together. And it's not just once. It's not just twice. This has happened over like 15 times, 20 times. I've got to a point now where I'm in two crossroads about it. We're in a crossroad about it. Sack Klopp, cool. However, do you trust these owners to get a new manager? A good new manager? Because there's a lot of Klopp outers that don't understand that we still got these owners, FSG, in charge. You have to understand, like, come on now. Like, Klopp is a problem, 100%. But as I said before, I am willing to wait until next season if we get new owners so that they can spend money and they expose if Klopp is really finished or he can still carry on.
I think he's finished, bro. I think he's finished because if the players have stopped playing for him, and that's hugely evident in the way you're moving. Just to put it into context, this time last season, after 20 games, Manchester United, as bad as we were, Manchester United had 32 points. Liverpool were on 29. You are 3 points worse off than Man United at this stage last year. And it was one of our worst and most embarrassing seasons in the history of our football club. That's like, it's going, the reason it's going unchecked is the media are not talking about how bad Liverpool are. They're getting for their spending. They're putting pressure on Arsenal. Maybe they'll collapse. Are Man United really good enough to make top four? Will Newcastle sustain it? You know, Brentford, Brighton, Fulham, they're playing above themselves. Liverpool are just being ignored. For some reason, there is such a love fest for Liverpool, such a love fest and admiration for Jurgen Klopp that nobody is talking about it. And Jamie Carragher is the one I want to see called out. I want to see Gary Neville on the next Monday Night Football get serious with him and talk about the manager. Doesn't matter how much credit you've got in the bank. Doesn't matter. Questions need to be asked. Now, you could say, of course he deserves a chance under new owners. Of course you give him more time. Of course, you know, he can bounce back through this. But we need to hear the conversation. The fact the conversation is not being had at almost any capacity by any of the mainstream media outlets is crazy. Now, everyone goes, oh, you defend Liverpool so much, Arsenal so much. I defend Arsenal because there'll be more uproar. There'll be more talk of Arsenal on the airwaves tomorrow and Monday than Liverpool getting battered again. And that should never happen. When you've got a team last year nearly won a quad to this. This is the biggest story. This is the biggest story in Premier League football this year. Not Todd Bowley spending, not Arsenal, will they or won't they win the league, not Man United top four, not Newcastle getting to their first cup final since 99. The biggest story is Liverpool's crumble, and it ain't anywhere. I can't see it.
And you know what? I think... Go on.
And you know what else? The tricky thing with waiting till you get new owners and giving Klopp a whole bunch of money in the summer, given his checkered history with recent transfers, if you're giving him infinite amount of money and they're all dead, if he then dips in, let's say, the following January, now you have a bunch of players on fresh contracts on probably crazy money, and now you have a manager who can well within his right come into the team and say, "These ain't none of my man. I don't want to play none of these."
But this
So
is the
then
question. This is the question I will ask you. I hear it, but do you trust these owners to get a good manager?
Yes.
That's the question.
Yes. Because
You trust them, yeah? You trust. Cool. You trust them.
Yes. Look, I don't trust these owners, but I trust that they would make the club, not the owners, the club as a whole would make the correct decision. Because when you look at where we are as a club now and the managers that will be willing to join, my top three candidates, Amorim, Tuchel, and Alonso, they've all worked under budgetary restrictions like this. Alonso less so because he's in a new job at Leverkusen, but still, they don't have bucket loads of money. So Tuchel has worked under a strict budget at Dortmund, where he's had to sell players. And Amorim has worked under a strict budget at Sporting, where he's had to sell players, and both of them have had success at it. So I've got no doubt that they will appoint a manager that buys into their style, and Tuchel and Amorim both fall into that. The issue is regarding the new owners: are they going to come in? Because when you're sitting there, and I agree to an end to like a degree about Klopp's earned the right to get to spend all this money on the owners. Has he though? Because what Klopp's done is earned the right to manage this team under new ownership. He hasn't earned the right to spend the money. What he's done is earned the right to have someone else spend the money for him. But that's not what's happening at the minute. What's happening at the minute is Jurgen Klopp is getting to spend the money. And Jurgen Klopp, when he spends the money, buys attackers more than he buys midfielders. We have not bought a midfielder since Thiago Alcantara 3 years ago. 3 years ago, we have not. I am still waiting for my Wijnaldum replacements. Still, I'm waiting for my Wijnaldum replacements. Ox, not good enough. Keita, useless. Milner, past it. Jones, awful. Henderson, god awful. Fabinho, he wasn't even part of the squad today. He's been ostracised by the manager. So then, what do we get down to? I'll put it simply. This is the most plain and simple way I can put it. Jurgen Klopp's a fantastic manager. I will forever be thankful for what he's done building this club up. I don't trust him to rebuild the squad he's built. I don't think he's the right man to do that because I think he's too wrapped up in his own loyalties and I think he's too wrapped up in his own players that he's worked with in the past to do it to the nth degree that we need it to be done to. We've been crap in the past. We should not have to constantly fall back to that level to rebuild. We should be able to have a bad season. Bad seasons for us should not be 9th, 10th, worrying about relegation battles and bottom half finishes. Bad seasons for us should be a battle for top 4. That's what our bad season should be.
Not when you spent £100 million on new players still. Like, you haven't spent Chelsea level money. You haven't, but you've still spent a significant amount of money more than a lot of the teams that are above you right now in the league. And that's why this is embarrassing. West Ham did equalised. Yeah, it's a crazy one for me.